Welcome everyone to this session. This tonight we are gonna work on the literature review. We're gonna check how to arrange, how to assemble some information, the importance of working on literature review when we research. And also I'm gonna share the learning activity. Okay. So let me start sharing my screen, please. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, teacher, we can.
Thank you. Okay. So literature review. First, we need to understand why, no? Remember that every step, every action that a researcher develops in a process of research during the study, before the study, no? We need to do a lot of things. It's not only what we do during the research. So we need to do a lot of things. Among them, the most important is to develop the literature review. Some researchers said or claim that the essential activity of investigators starts in the library, okay, but not the place, no? Remember that we have digital libraries, we have digital resources. So what can we say and state is that the process of research starts by reading, okay? We have the knowledge of the theorists and principles and foundations. That is the theoretical framework. No, we can get, for example, in linguistics, we can read Chomsky, we can read Grashant, we can read, among others, no? And that is the theory of the development of the process of second language acquisition and the principles, many paradigms for that, no? That should be another topic, no? Because there we have theories. But in literature review, we need to get the data, we need to establish what has been done before in the field we want to research. So why is it necessary? Literature review allows to determine what studies have been conducted in the field of your interest to research. What has been done? What was developed in the past, in the topic, in the issue, in the theme I want to research. Why? Because we need to establish what still needs to be researched and what has been already obtained. So what results have those studies gave, have those studies contributed? So what we are going to work on the gap between what has been done and what still becomes or is a necessity to research. Okay. Also, we can obtain a better view of the studies, the investigation that other colleagues, other researchers found as issues. Sometimes we can find similar context. We are going to see that the same problems that we have here in Ecuador, perhaps people have in China, in Singapore, in other countries where English is learned as a second language or as a foreign language. So we can realize what is happening. So that is the very beginning of the work of the researchers' work. So that we justify, no? The reason. Why is it necessary? Let me see the next. And what is the objective? What is the aim? We need to make sure that there are similar studies to our research. Imagine if we have an issue and nobody studied before, nobody investigated about that. So that is kind of difficult that you are going to be the first. We are going to be the first. We always need something. Even it is kind of limited resources, restricted resources, we can find something and it's going to be helpful. In that way, we have the basis, the guide to follow, to continue to go to the next step in our topic. And as I told you, we are going to work on that gap, no, between what has been done before and what is still a necessity to do. So it constitutes the starting point to construct our research. Why? Because we can have an issue and we realized that nobody, that is not a strong issue for research. Because in classes, we're going to find different issues, but sometimes not all of them are issues of research. Sometimes they are issues for economical situation, they are issues for methodological strategies, for pedagogical, but not for research. So we need to be careful with that. And how we realize that using the literature review. Okay, so we have some types of literature review according to the objective, of course. What study, what type of research do we want to do, and what kind of report we want to do. It's not going to be the same if I want to develop a thesis, for example. When people graduate, sometimes some universities require thesis. And the type of literature review for thesis is going to be different because we need more number of resources among books, articles, congress, and something like that. And it's going to be different if we want to develop a journal article. So we have different types of literature review. Here we have, when we have a dissertation thesis, that should be the thesis, no? It should be a broadened work. What is a broadening? A lot of resources, because the thesis is allowed to have among 100 pages or more, no? But it's a lot. While when we develop journal articles, it's going to be narrow, no? We have to be more selective. The key words, the key sources. Okay, let's see. And then we have to follow a process, no? It's a systematic work. It's not like I read and I only underline some ideas and I include what I consider important. No, we need to follow a process. And there are different methodologies to develop the literature review. I selected the easiest one for qualitative studies, no? We can apply the same process for quantitative studies, but taking into account the elements that are part of quantitative studies or mixed approach. So there are different types of literature review also for exact science, for example, for engineering. There are a different process to follow. But the purpose is the same, and the reason of doing the literature review is going to be the same. So here we have the first step. Can you help me reading? Is there any volunteer to read, please?
Can I help you, teacher?
Thank you, Karen.
Okay. Process to write literature review. It is important to explore former studies similar to the one you are working on to have a clear view of what has been studied. The introduction should start with general information and should end with specific information, moving from the topic background to supporting studies.
Okay, so that is a general, can say suggestion, no? General steps. Let's see, what is important to focus on former studies similar to the one, no, that we want to develop with the same issue, with the same phenomenon. Of course, the context and the participants are going to be different. But the ideal is that we find similar context, no? For example, if I want to develop a research about a university here in Ecuador, the ideal is that I check the research studies, articles developed with universities in other countries or cities, okay? And of course, they have to show a closer similarity with the issue, with the theme I want to research. And in the last sentence, it is related to how we are going to write. So what is that general suggestion is that we start with an introduction, no? And then what you include in the introduction? The general information, and with from general to specific, moving from the topic background to supporting studies. We are going to check in detail the steps in the assignment. In number 2, what is the suggestion, please? Somebody who helps me read. Somebody there, please? Volunteered? No volunteers? Alexandra, thank you.
Okay. Read many literature reviews and articles. So it is suggested to work with older studies first. Then read more recent studies and focus on them because they will show the latest findings and concepts. Don't forget to take notes while you are reading.
Okay, so of course, the biggest number of articles that you read, the more information you are gonna get, no? The more knowledge, more basis about the issue, no? About the theme. And what is the suggestion? That we start, well, now it is suggested that we check only articles not older than 5 years. So what should be? 2019, and we're no older than 2019, no? So then we have 5 years. Where you are going to start? With articles that were published in 2019, and then you continue with the recent years, okay? The recent studies. And then you can organize in that way. And thinking about the importance, all of them are important. However, the latest studies, the latest articles are going to show us the improvements. Maybe they incorporated different strategies, technology, because of course the time is going to show some differences. For example, in 2019, we didn't have the pandemic. And after the pandemic, education changed a lot. So maybe some events that have affected the process of teaching in general, and of course also teaching languages, can be a different, for example, no, that is an example. And then it's suggested to take notes while you are reading, but it's better to elaborate a chart, no? To elaborate. I'm going to share later some suggestions also for this step. In number 3, somebody who helps me reading, please. Somebody?
Me, teacher. The organization of the literature review should respond to the identified categories in the research question and sub-question. So the general funding should be related to the main questions and the specific findings related to each of the sub-questions. In the case of historical studies, it is suggested that the references follow a chronological order by years or decades. Decades. Decades is constitutes the history background.
Okay, so summarizing this paragraph, what is important to have clear is that there is a closer relationship between the research questions and the literature review. How I know what themes, what headings or subheadings I'm going to include, because it is allowed to include headings and subheadings. And how I know? I don't need to copy from other articles. I have to organize according my research. So I have to see what I want to respond at the end of the study, at the end of the investigation. And what I'm going to respond? I'm going to respond to the research questions. So I need to take the key terms from the research questions. And those terms are going to be the headings and subheadings of the literature review. For example, let's suppose that my research question is what is the relationship between the use of the cell phone and the improvement of vocabulary in the English class? So I have some keywords there. So if I include cell phone, that is technology, devices. So I should have some information, some heading, any heading or subheading about technology. Okay, maybe devices. Also, I'm going to focus on vocabulary. So I have to mention the lexics, or what is happening with the vocabulary level. So that those key terms from the research questions are going to give the headings and subheadings of the literature review. Why? Because I need to include what is happening with the same problem from former studies, from previous studies. And it is also suggested to organize in a chronological order by years, okay? I said that it is suggested to work with studies not older than 5 years. So when we should start 2019, and then we continue with recent studies. Okay, that should be for the organization. Let's see. Okay, who wants to help me with the fourth step?
Hi, teacher.
Thank you.
Good evening. Number 4, when you report what you consider to be particularly important studies, use adjectives that indicate your evaluation. Use adjectives that indicate your opinion about the study. For example, Sanchez, 2012 controversial study.
This is a suggestion also, no? When we are writing our literature review, what is suggested to use adjectives, qualities, no? And that quality involves my criteria, my opinion. And for example, here there is a kind of a reference, Sanchez controversial study. I can say Sanchez initial study. Sanchez, what else I can say? Highlighted study. So any adjective that I used is going to show my opinion, my criteria. That is a plus, no? That is a good way to organize what you're writing. Let me share. Any questions so far? Very easy. It is important that you understand the relevance of literature review. Is essentially relevant. That is the beginning of the investigation. Why? Because let's suppose that I have an issue in my class, but that issue is not a topic for research. It's a topic for methodology. I remember that some people, I am not sure if it was in this class or in another class, but somebody wrote an example of issue, the lack of computers in the English class. What do you think? Lack of computers, is it a problem of applied linguistics for research, I mean, no? Or is a problem of economical situation in the school or in any other problem, no? What do you think? The lack of computers in the class.
Economical situation.
Yeah, is essentially another topic, no? And that is the reason we need to be careful. And how I know that it's difficult sometimes to organize our issues because we can observe different issues in our classes and we want to solve them, we want to find solutions, but those issues can be solved without investigation. We can solve with other process, maybe changing just a methodology. But if we want to contribute to the academic world, that is different, no? When we want to contribute to the academic world, when we know that my research is going to give, it's going to provide with different points of view, it's going to provide relevant findings to the community, in our case, to the English teachers. In that way, I consider an issue to be part of research. And how I'm going to be sure about that? Reading previous studies, no? Reading previous studies. That is the essential part. If we want to research without reading theories, foundations, and former studies, that is not possible. That is not research, okay? Let me share another document. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so this is the learning activity number 1 of the second term, no? Because we are starting with this theme, the second term. It is a collaborative activity. You are going to continue with the same groups. Remember that the groups are up to you, but it is not allowed to do individual or in pairs. I noticed that some people are working individually, and I send the message that you need to join a group, okay? So please keep in mind that. Let me make it kind of bigger. Okay, I think it's better now. Any volunteer who helps me reading the instructions, please. Somebody? Any volunteer?
Me, teacher.
Alexandra, thank you.
Okay. Part 1. A. Search on digital academic machines, Google Scholar, ResearchGate, ScienceDirect.com, and select 3 journal articles related to the following general issue: the use of apps and technology in the class. It is suggested to narrow it.
Okay.
Follow the... Okay.
Only that. Okay.
Okay.
Well, here are some examples of academic search machines, no? You have Google Scholar, ResearchGate, ScienceDirect.com, and any other that you can find free articles, okay? Free articles, there are a lot, and we don't have money, and I am not sending you to buy any article. Please, sometimes people send me message, I find an article, but I have to pay, and I don't have the money to do that. Of course, I am not sending you to buy, no, because we need to develop with what we find free on the web. So I give these suggestions. If you have another, no problem, but free articles, okay? So you are going to select 3 journal articles that focus on this issue. What is the issue? The use of apps and technology in the class. That is the general issue. If you find, for example, and you are interested in working about just cell phones or tablets or any technology in a specific way, you can change, you can expand, you can make it narrow. That is the idea, no? Because apps and technology is very big. We have a lot of options. That is the reason that is the general issue. And maybe you are not going to find literally this topic. So make it narrow and write there in the document, and you are going to search about this specific app or technology, okay? In the English class, let me write here, because then you give me examples of the mathematics class. In English classes, okay. Okay, and then you can select the narrow, the specific app or technology, and in that way you make it narrow. Why? Because it's going to be easier for you to find only about cell phones, apps, or tablets, or any specific technological tool, okay? And then you can find in an easy way the articles. That is the idea, okay? Let's see. Letter B. Somebody, please. Somebody, letter B. Any volunteer?
I can continue, Miss.
Thank you.
Okay, letter B. Follow the steps suggested in theme 7, image below, and develop the literature review journal article type.
Okay. So I include here the image about the steps to develop the literature review. This is going to be about journal articles, okay? So here we have these steps. We are going to read the steps, and if you have any question, you ask me. Or if I consider something that is important to emphasize or expand, I also will do it. Let's see, step 1. People don't want to read. Karen, can you read step 1, please?
Sure. Step 1. Research and collect all the scholar information and sources. Select the material that is going to be more useful for your study. Thus, scholarly articles, books, dissertation theses, conference papers.
Okay. So research and collect all of the scholar information and sources, no? Select the material that's going to be more useful for your study, that's scholarly article books. In our case, we are going to focus only on articles because of the time. This learning activity is gonna be submitted next week. So you don't have the time to check books, thesis, and so on, no? Just 3 articles. Step 2, please. Somebody helps me reading. Maybe Kevin, you're going to
Maybe, thank you. Analyze the network of information and select words. Use mind maps and charts to identify intersection of the research and outline important categories. Select the material most useful for your review.
Okay, so analyze the network of information and select words, no? I already gave some suggestions. That is the network, the websites, the academic sources, no? Remember that you need to look for complete articles, okay? Not just the abstract, not just a summary, the complete article. And use mind maps and charts to identify intersections. What are intersections? The connections the similar points of the different studies, no? And you need to develop categories. Let's see, I include here an example of mind math, okay? So this is only a suggestion. There are some options, no? Here the research was about language development and reading, but they divided in that way, no? For example, individual aspects, motivation, social context, reading habits. About reading strategies, evaluation and assessment, textbooks and teaching materials, teachers' strategies, expectations, and beliefs. The structure, it is related to the social organization, no? The government policies, national curriculum, and reading policies, language development, language acquisition, L1 and L2 proficiency, and meta-linguistic skills. Where they get that? From the article, okay? From the articles. Sometimes people do one per article, but you have only 3. I consider that you can design one mind map for the three articles. But you are in charge, you are free to decide. If it is easier for you to develop a different mind map for each article, do it. If it is easier for you to include all the information from the 3 articles, do it. I would say that it's better to do only one mind map because there you are going to check the intersections of each article. Okay, what I find, for example, about language development in Article 1, and you can include here a parenthesis, Article 1 or Article 2. That is a suggestion, no? But you are going to decide. These are the mind maps, okay? Let's see. Here we have step 3. Somebody else, please. Somebody else, maybe.
Me, teacher.
Thank you, Dee.
Step 2.
No, 3.
Okay. Describe and summarize each select article. Determine important concepts 2, 3 from each text and take notes of the important aspects that led you to summarize.
Short summaries.
Your summarize.
Okay, let's see. I include a chart for that. For example, how we are going to see the important concepts. Here you write the theme, okay? You write what is the theme of the research of the issue you want to focus on. And then you copy the theme of Article 1, the theme of Article 2 and 3. In each column, you need to complete the key terms, that they are not the keywords that we find in the articles, in the abstract. Sometimes we find keywords. They are not the keywords. Maybe can be some of them, but I mean key terms, the terms related to my research question, or to what I want to get. What I want to get from each article. What are the key things I find there? You are not going to find only information about the keywords, of course, about the keywords, but maybe you can find additional terms that are relevant. So you consider here. In the relevant concepts, let's suppose that the Article 1 gives me relevant concepts about the facilities that children find in tablets, for example, by using games, let's suppose. And then you write here the concept with the reference, no? Relevant concepts with references. Why? Why it is useful to work with this chart? Because in the summary, because you are going to write here the summary. What is it? After you are going to write the summary. It's not included. So after you have the chart, oh, come on. You are going to write. It was on there. Remember, let's see, write a summary for the literature review. Okay, with these concepts, with these key terms, you are going to develop a summary. And where is it? 120 word summary that contains all the concepts or theories related to the theme. You can find, I think, more concepts, what are the contributions that each article, article is given, no? Is stated there. So 120 words. In total, no? Right? One summary, no one summary per article. That is the literature review. You are going to develop a literature review based on 3 articles, okay? Based on 3 articles. You need to join. That is the reason that this mind map helps a lot, because it shows how you are going to join ideas. Okay, in this example, there are 4 categories, 4 headings. And these are gonna be the subheadings. And then you can see how you are going to summarize, okay? Probably motivation is in 1 article, social context is in the 2nd, or reading habits is in the 3rd article. So you associate the categories and subcategories. In that way, you can organize better the summary, no? And remember, the literature review in the slide, we saw that it has an introduction. Then you continue with ideas based on the concepts. And of course, at the end, you need to give a kind of short conclusion, no? That is the idea. And of course, you need to use APA 7 edition for the references. And at the end, you need to write a list, no? A list of references. Let's see. I'll select it and include them in the PDF document. 3 articles here. You are not going to include the articles in the PDF because there are 3. What are you going to do? I remember it was here. Here. You are gonna link the articles. What you have to do is to upload in your drive, and then you create a file with the 3 articles, and you share the link in the document, okay? And then if I need to know, for example, something about article 2, I click the link and I check your articles. Select the articles, and it's a reference of the selected articles. Let's see. And then, I don't know what happened. I think I didn't save this part. How we can say upload or create a file in a Drive account, and share the link here in the PDF document. How many articles? 3. Okay, that is important. Any questions so far? Questions? No questions? I think
There, Master,
you have a question, Ken.
how much we need to complete the key terms? We need to add in the key terms.
How much or how many?
How much, I think. How many? Yeah, how many words?
How many words? Okay, yeah, should be, I think, like the words you consider, no? The words you consider. If you consider that 10 words are key, you include 10. If you include that 5 are key terms, you include 5. I don't want to give a number because it depends on the study. Okay, but I think between five or average 5 is a good number of terms. But I don't want to give a number because you will say, okay, I don't have 5, I have 10. It can happen. It depends on the study. Okay. Let's see. Any other question? Well, let me see. The deadline is gonna be for next Wednesday. And please check the rubrics because I'm going to grade following the rubric. What about the articles? All articles mainly refer to the use of apps and technology in the class. And with the narrow, with a specific app or a specific technology that you decide, no? But they have to be related to the general issue. And all articles have to be qualitative. That is important. Why? If you check quantitative studies, you're gonna have problems in the analysis here, in the intersections. Or if you have one article that is quantitative, one mix, one qualitative, it's gonna be a problem with the organization of the intersections. Because of course the methodology is different, okay? So qualitative studies. And the link has to be, has to give easy access, no? With public access. 3 points for that. The theme of the possible research. A narrow thing has been stated based on the given general issue. That is the issue, and you need to write a theme with a specific issue, technology, context, like, and narrow it, okay? 2 points for that. The steps to elaborate the literature review. All the steps have been developed, okay? The mind map is included in the PDF. The important concepts are included, that is in the chart, no? And the summary with minimum 120 words. If you have more, it should be 100, let's see, between 120 and 150, but no more. And then you include all the concepts, theories, findings that you establish as relevant. That is the essential part, and it is over 10 points, okay? The use of APA, you know, and the use of English, of course. This rubric is important that you pay attention because sometimes you say, oh, I forget the link. You are going to be penalized with 3, okay? And if each section is important, no? But what is the core of this activity is the literature review. So follow the steps, work hard on this. These graphics, this mind map is only an example. You can find additional examples on the web. There is another type that you use only like a net, circles, lines, and you join it. So the graphic, this mind map is to make it easy to organize, okay? To find intersections. That is the key word. What is intersection? Similarities. And then you can have a better view of what terms, what categories you are going to include in the literature review. Any question? Any question, please? Maybe I forgot something. This learning activity is kind of long, but really, really important, no? it's important to have the practice first to understand the importance of literature review, then to have the training for the process, the steps, the instruments that we can use, and also, and of course, develop the summary, no? Why? Because that is the basis of any investigation, okay? Let me go back. So this is going to be kind of hard work, but you are not going to have any activity for video conference, okay? So no video conference activity. Let me share again my presentation. I want to show this. Okay. Was a key sentence. The introduction should start with general information and should end with the specific information. No, that is the general outline from general to a specific. No, so you start like a big general category and then you make it a specific. From the topic background to supporting studies. No, in the introduction you mentioned the topic background. What is happening with that theme? In a kind of summary from the 3 articles, and then you continue focusing on each article. You only have 3. What is the strategy suggested to work in groups? Remember that is not to divide the activity, no? You say, okay, you do this, Juanito, Pepito, and Anita, you do this, and then we copy and paste. That is not the idea, no? When we have group activities, collaborative activity, it means that all the members, collaborative activity. Somebody is waiting. What? In the collaborative activity, we have in our class, we have 3 people, right? Person 1, person 2, and person 3. What is the idea? That you interact. Interaction. Because 3 heads, 3 people, of course, think better than just one divided. It's not that, it's not this, no? Juanito works here, Anita here, and Pablito here. So they don't do anything together. And then they send the information and they copy and paste. So this product is going to be of low quality because nobody helped each other. When we say interaction, it means that you work together. You need to meet in some way together and share, discuss, analyze together. What is suggested? That you can do an individual part. In the first part, search the articles. That can be individual. And then you have many articles. And then you meet to select. No, you say, okay, this is the best. This is the best. Then you select 3 articles. Okay. In the next step, what you do? You can divide the articles to analyze. So person 1, person 2, each person has an article. And then in step 4, what happens? Then you join to work on each analysis. Okay, let's suppose this is Anita's analysis. But you joined, all of you, person 1, person 2, and person 3, sorry for my numbers, work analyzing each article. So individually, you can do a draft of analysis. Okay, you underline, you apply the techniques. You can also develop a mind of the terms, of the categories and subcategories, headings and subheadings. That individual, but then you meet and then you start working on the 3 articles together. Okay, because this is hard work. This part is essential. I will notice if just one person did. because the system that each person follows is different. The analysis that a person develops, of course, is going to be different from the analysis in a group. So be careful, no? Organize and think that this is a collaborative activity. I know that it takes time, but it deserves, it requires. Any questions so far? Jomaira, you have a question? Anybody? When I don't have questions, I am worried.
Teacher,
Angelica, yes.
the mind map, we need to put the link as well, or just
No,
take
You
the
can
cap,
only put the screenshot.
the, oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
This
Thank
is only an example, no? You can use different mind maps. What is the idea? That it has to show in an easy way the intersections, the connections, no? The categories and subcategories. When you have that, the next step of writing the summary is easy because you already have the categories and then you associate, you get the information from each article. Any other question? When I don't have questions, I am worried because there are two options. People didn't understand everything or anything, or people were sleeping. No? Okay. So that's it. I think is all for tonight. Thank you very much. We keep in touch. Please keep working. Any question you have, go ahead with an email. I will be glad to help you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Master.